Hello students. Today's topic is relative motion. So let's start by understanding a term called frame of reference. See, frame of reference, you can think of it as a coordinate system basically. Imagine there are these three rods attached to a point. One along the x-axis, one along y-axis, one along z-axis. So three rods like this. This is what is a frame of reference. The position of any point, we always mark it from the origin of this frame of reference. Now this frame of reference can be attached to any object. This is one frame of reference attached to the board, you can say. Here I have marked this point P. Point P marked on the board is fixed relative to this frame of reference. Imagine I have another frame of reference which is denoted by these by my fingers. The x-axis, this finger, y-axis along the thumb, and the middle axis, middle finger refers to the z-axis. Now if I start moving, this is a frame of reference which is attached to me is moving, whereas this one relative to the board is not moving, this one is moving relative to the board. So as seen by this frame of reference, the position vector of point B is changing. From here, this position vector of point P is larger. When I move forward, it becomes smaller. So you can attach a frame of reference to any object also that may be moving with relative to some other object. And an object which is stationary in one frame of reference, it may be moving relative to another frame of reference. If I take, let's say I am holding this chalk and I am moving like this. So this chalk is stationary relative to my frame of reference. This chalk is not moving in my frame of reference, but this chalk is moving relative to the frame of reference marked on the board, isn't it? So rest and motion, these are all relative. By relative, what we mean is that they depend on the frame of reference. कोई object अगर एक frame of reference में या एक observer के लिए अगर stationary है तो हो सकता है कि वो दूसरे के लिए move कर रहा हो. किसी एक frame of reference में उसकी velocity कम है तो ऐसा हो सकता है किसी दूसरे frame of reference में velocity ज़्यादा हो. So frame of reference is just a coordinate system which can be attached to an object. All right. Now about relative motion. See, all the motion or even the state of rest is relative, means it depends on observer. For an observer, an object at rest, for another object it may be moving, as we have already seen by this simple experiment of this point and the chalk. Now when we study relative motion, see it's not just a matter of studying here, it's even in practical sense you can understand relative motion. मान लो कि एक सिचुएशन ऐसी है, ट्रेन का एक सीन है जिसमें ट्रेन के अंदर दो आदमी बैठे हुए हैं. कुछ आदमी मान लो उनको प्लेटफॉर्म पे सी ऑफ करने आए हैं, तो ट्रेन चल पड़ती है. जो लोग प्लेटफॉर्म पे बैठे हैं वो इस तरीके से बात कर रहे हैं कि भाई ट्रेन आज तो राइट टाइम पे चल रही है और जो है जयपुर राइट टाइम पे पहुंच जाएगी. जो लोग ट्रेन के अंदर बात कर रहे हैं, अब जो प्लेटफॉर्म में बात कर रहे हैं पहले उनकी बात हम समझ लें. वो क्या कह रहे हैं कि ट्रेन जयपुर पहुंच जाएगी. जो लोग ट्रेन में बैठे हुए हैं वो आपस में क्या बात करते हैं? एक जना दूसरे से बोलता है, अरे भाई सवाई माधोपुर आ गया क्या? जैसे कोई सवाई माधोपुर उनकी तरफ चल के आ रहा है। लेकिन देखो उन लोगों के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से ये बात ठीक है, वो अपनी जगह सही हैं, उनके फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस में जो कि ट्रेन का फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस है, उस फ्रेम ऑफ रेफरेंस से जो सवाई माधोपुर सिटी है वो उनकी तरफ आ रहा है, जबकि जो लोग बाहर से देख रहे हैं, अर्थ फ्रेम से देख रहे हैं, उनके लिए ट्रेन सवाई माधोपुर जा रही है। सो ऑल मोशन और द स्टेट ऑफ रेस्ट is relative. We must understand it depends on observer. Same object can have different velocities for different observers. That means it can have different velocities in different frame of reference. Now let us what we will be doing in this topic is that we will be relating the motion of a single object as observed by different observers. All right. So let's start this. In this situation here, motion of particle B is being observed by two observers. One is O frame of reference, the other one is A. Now A itself may be moving with respect to O. First, I have marked the position vectors of point B as seen by O. So this is the position vector RBO, position vector of B with respect to O or relative to O, and this is RBA, position vector of B as seen by the observer A. Now position vector of A as seen by O is also marked. It is given by RAO. Now these three position vectors, how are they related? You can see it very easily by applying triangle law of vector addition. This vector RBO, you can see, is the sum of RAO plus RBO. So I can write RAO plus RBA is equal to RBO. Now it gives me RBA vector. That means the position vector of B as seen by the observer A as RBO vector minus RAO vector. Now if I want to relate the velocities, I can simply differentiate this. So when I differentiate this, dRBA vector upon dt is equal to d by dt of RBO vector minus d by dt of RAO vector. Now derivative of position vector we know is what? It is the velocity vector. So this here is the velocity of particle B as observed by O. So VBO vector. This one here is the velocity of A as observed by O, and this one is the velocity of B relative to A or as observed by A. Now this is the relation which we will be using very frequently while discussing relative motion. Now that we have derived this result, to give you a feel of it, let me take a simple example. Okay, let's take this simple example. We have a train here. The train is having a length of 100 meters and it is traveling towards the right with a velocity of 20 meters per second. And on this road along the tracks, we have a bus. Bus is also moving in the same direction, but the velocity of bus is 10 meters per second. Length of the bus is 20 meters per second. 20 meters. So we want to find the time taken by the train to overtake the bus. We want to find the time taken by the train to overtake the bus. Now, this can be done, this problem can be solved from different frames of references. Let's first take an observer on the earth or the ground frame of reference. Now, that observer will see the situation like this, that after some time, the bus may have moved a little forward, say somewhere here, the new position of bus is say somewhere here, and the train which has just overtaken the bus is somewhere here. Alright, this is the train. Now, the distance moved by the bus by the time the train overtakes the bus is say x. So, what is the distance travelled by the train? Mind you, when we are marking the distance travelled by bus, we have to be careful. If I am taking the rear end of the bus here, I should take rear end of the bus here too. Alright, we should not confuse it between rear and front end. So, if I am marking the distance for train, see distance, total distance of train travelled by the train will be, this is 100 plus this is x and plus this is 20. So, 100 plus x plus 20. The total distance travelled by the train becomes 120 plus x. Now, the time is same for both. This was the instant, you can call it t equal to 0, and this is the instant t equal to capital T. We are interested in this value of capital T, the time taken for overtake. Now, what can we do? We can calculate this t for bus and train and we can equate this. For the bus, it will be distance travelled or the displacement, you can call it x divided by the speed 10. So, this is the time taken by the bus from here to here, and this in the same time train has travelled a distance of 120 plus x and the speed of train is 20. So, you can easily solve, these are two equations, you can solve for x and t. If you solve this part, you can cancel 0 here and you get 2x equal to 120 plus x, giving us x equal to 120. And if I put the value of x equal to 120 here, I get t equal to 120 by 10, that is 12 seconds. So, the time of overtake is 12 seconds. This we solve this problem from the point of view of an earth observer. We will now solve the same problem from the point of view of the observer in train. Now, if we want to solve the same problem relative to the train, we must convert the velocities as seen by the train or relative to the train. First of all, what will be the velocity of train relative to train? Velocity of any object relative to itself has to be 0. ये कुछ इस तरीके की बात है कि भाई आदमी कितना भी भाग ले, इंसान कितना भी भाग ले, खुद से कभी नहीं भाग सकता. तो खुद के रिलेटिव डिस्प्लेसमेंट, वेलोसिटी, एक्सेलरेशन वो 0 ही आता है. ऑल राइट. So, the velocity of train relative to itself is 0. In this frame, train is not moving. Imagine yourself as a passenger in the train. Alright, so you are not moving relative to the train and the train is not moving relative to you. Now, what about the velocity of bus? So, velocity of bus relative to the train. This is the bus B, this is the train T. Velocity of bus relative to train, according to this relation which we derived for relative velocity, we can write this as VB relative to ground. Let's call a ground observer as O. Okay. So, VBO minus VPO. velocity of bus relative to ground minus velocity of train relative to ground. We have just applied this concept which we derived. Now VBO, and I am not using vector signs here again because the case that I have taken here is a one-dimensional case. As we have already solved the problems of one-dimensional motion, it is not required to use the arrow sign in one-dimensional situations. So I am not using arrows here. VBO, velocity of bus in ground frame, it was given to us as 10 meter per second. So this is your 10 meter per second, and velocity of train relative to the ground observer O is 20 meter per second. So if I subtract, I get minus 10 meter per second. What does it mean? It means that as seen by the train, the bus is going towards left. Our sign convention here is that we are taking the towards right as positive. That is why we took the velocities of bus and train as positive. VBO, VTO, I have put positive values here. Alright. Now this negative relative velocity of bus as seen by train indicates that the bus is going towards left. Now if you imagine yourself as a passenger in the train and imagine that you are looking at the bus, what will you observe? Won't you see the bus slowly going in the reverse direction as the train moves? You must have observed such situations, alright? So, as seen by the train, the bus is actually going backwards. Now, when will the overtake be complete? The overtake will be complete when the bus is here, when the bus reaches this point. So, bus goes from here to here as seen by the train. What is the displacement of bus? If I again take it from rear to rear, you can see this is 20 the length of bus plus 100 the length of train. So, total displacement of the bus relative to train is 120 and it is in the left direction. See, bus was here, now it is here. So, the displacement of the bus is negative 120. So, what is the time? Time we can say is relative displacement divided by the relative velocity. So, relative displacement is minus 120 meters, relative velocity is minus 10 meter per second. So, we get a time of 12 seconds. So, the time you can see is same whether you solve the problem from the ground frame of reference here or you solve it from the frame of reference of train. You can try to solve this problem on your own relative to the bus frame of reference. Draw a similar diagram and imagine yourself as a passenger of bus. In that frame of reference, you will see that the bus is not moving and the train moves slowly past the bus. And do a similar type of calculation. In that case, you will find velocity of train relative to bus and proceed. Try to do it on your own. It will be a very nice exercise. It will give you some experience of relative motion. There may be situations where the velocity of objects is varying. That means their motion is accelerated. It is having some acceleration. So, how to relate the accelerations for different observers? We just have to differentiate this relation which we have already got for relative velocities. If we differentiate this, I can say the derivative of relative velocity of B with respect to A is equal to the velocity d by dt VBO minus d by dt of AO. So, I can write this then as acceleration of B relative to A. The derivative of relative velocity of B with respect to A, we can call it acceleration of B with respect to A, and I can write this as acceleration of B with respect to O minus the acceleration of A with respect to O. So, we get a very similar relation for the accelerations. These are accelerations of of B and A for the ground observer, whereas this is the acceleration of B as seen by A. A word of caution here, what we have derived these relations for two different observers or for two different frames of reference, and these frames of reference that we have taken, they are just moving one relative to the other. They are just moving one frame of reference is moving with respect to other. It is moving translationally. No rotation is involved. Don't start imagining situations where a coordinate system is attached to a ceiling fan and the frame of reference xy coordinates, they are rotating like this. In such situations, these equations will not hold. We will not be taking any such case in this chapter. Rotating frame of reference, we will be taking up separately when we study circular motions. So, these relations hold for frames of reference that are moving only translationally with respect to each other and no rotation is involved. Alright, let me take an example of this one, the relative acceleration. A person on this moving elevator performs an experiment in order to determine the acceleration of this elevator. What he does is, he simply drops a coin from a height of 2 meters above the floor of elevator, and he observes that the time taken by the elevator to reach the floor of the coin is 1 second. After 1 second, the coin hits the floor of elevator, and we want to find what is the acceleration of this elevator. Now, if we do the question without the knowledge of relative motion, how will we do this? See, we are not given anything about the motion of elevator, whether it is moving or not initially. So, let's say it may be moving, it may be having some initial velocity downward as u, and it has an acceleration a. I am taking downward as positive here. Acceleration due to gravity g is downward, so that will also be taken as plus 10. Alright, now if I am doing this without the knowledge of relative motion, or you can say if I am doing it from the point of view of an ground observer, if the observer is stationary in the earth frame of reference, what will he observe? First of all, what will be the displacement of the coin for this elevator? Will it just be 2 meters? No, it will be more than that, because by the time coin reaches the floor of elevator, the elevator has actually moved down. The floor of elevator may be somewhere here. So, what was the displacement of the elevator in this 1 second? We can apply the second equation of motion. We know the initial velocity of elevator and we also know the acceleration. So, ut plus half at square. So, displacement of elevator will be u into time is 1 second plus half into a into again 1 squared. So, this is the displacement of elevator. You can just write it as u plus a by 2 in your SI system. Now, the coin has travelled a total displacement of the coin as seen by this person will be 2 meters plus this. So, what equation will this person make? This person will make an equation 2 meters plus u plus a by 2 is equal to half. What is the acceleration, what is the initial velocity, and the half will come later. So, what is the initial velocity of this coin and the acceleration? See, this coin was released by a person which was moving along with the elevator. Initial velocity of the elevator is u downwards. So this coin will also have the same initial velocity. We have already seen this in the balloon problem earlier. So the initial velocity of coin is same as the velocity of elevator, because the person has just released or dropped this coin. So it is u downwards, downward is positive. So I am again applying ut plus half at square plus half. Now what is the acceleration of coin? Once the coin is released, after the coin is released, the earth observer will just see it as a freely falling body. So the acceleration will be g. So half g into t square, that is 1 squared. You can see the initial velocity of elevator, which was not known, doesn't matter because it is cancelling out. And if I multiply this equation by 2, I get 4 plus a is equal to g, which is 10. I am getting a is equal to 6 meter per second square. So the acceleration of elevator is 6 meter per second square. This we calculated using the earth observer. Now let's try to do this from the point of view of the same person, the person in elevator. We are now solving this problem relative to you can say elevator, or the elevator frame of reference. So in the elevator frame of reference, first of all, the elevator is stationary. Its initial velocity 0, its acceleration 0, its displacement 0, displacement of floor, everything is 0. Remember, we already know that आदमी कितना भी भाग ले खुद से नहीं भाग सकता, तो इस एलिवेटर का खुद के रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी, एक्सेलरेशन, डिस्प्लेसमेंट सब कुछ 0 है. So what is the displacement of coin as seen by this person who himself is moving with the elevator? He is stationary in the elevator frame of reference. It is just this 2 meters. So relative to elevator, displacement of coin is 2 meters. Now what about the initial velocity of coin? As seen by this person, initial velocity of coin is 0. He is stationary relative to coin and he has just released it. So velocity of coin with respect to the elevator initially means before being released is 0, just after being released will also be 0, and then it will fall down. So the initial velocity is 0. What about the acceleration? So that we will calculate using this relation which we have derived. We can say that the acceleration of coin relative to the elevator is equal to acceleration of coin relative to the ground observer O minus the acceleration of elevator relative to the ground observer, which we have already taken as A. Acceleration of elevator with, let me write it here as A, acceleration of elevator with respect to O, which is our unknown A that we have to find. So now this ACE becomes now acceleration of coin in the ground frame. Acceleration of coin in ground frame is g, that we already know for a fact that if a body is freely falling as observed by a ground frame observer, it has to be g, and it is downward, so I can take this as plus 10 minus this is our unknown which we want to calculate as a. We have already taken symbol A for this. Now let's apply second equation of motion for the motion of coin as seen by the elevator or as seen by this person who is stationary in the elevator. So the displacement of 2, we can put this equal to half ACE multiplied by t square. T was 1. Remember, u of coin with respect to elevator is 0. So that ut term will not appear here. So the acceleration ACE I can put as 10 minus a. I take this 2 here. So 4 is equal to 10 minus a, and I get a is equal to 10 minus 4 equal to 6 meters per second square. And you can see that this method is easier because you don't have to involve u at all here. Here the elevator, the initial velocity of elevator also comes into picture because you are observing the motion in ground. So in calculation u also appears, but when you are solving this problem with respect to the elevator itself, the initial velocity doesn't appear because the velocity of coin and observer which is the person in the elevator itself, is same at the initial moment. So the relative velocity, or you can, if you want, you can write it as UCE is 0. In terms of ground observer, you can say it is U minus U. Velocity of coin just after being released, U. Velocity of observer, U. So relative to the person, initial velocity is 0. So this term here was 0. It doesn't appear at all. And you get same answer with much ease. We are using this equation very frequently in our problems of relative motion, and this O here was our ground observer. If you look at the derivation of this result, O is the ground observer. Now if O is the ground observer, we very often do not mention this O here. We simply write VBA vector is equal to VB vector minus VA vector. This is because ground frame is our default frame of reference. If you are given velocity of an object, say velocity of a car is 70 km per hour, and the frame of reference is not mentioned, it is very obvious that the velocity of car is given relative to the road, which means it is the ground frame of reference. So if nothing is stated about the frame of reference, it is automatically assumed that it is the ground frame of reference. Similarly, if in a question you are asked some velocity, that you have to find the velocity of truck in some situation or velocity of an aircraft in some situation, then it is without stating the frame of reference, then it is automatically implied that you have to find these velocities in ground frame. So we must understand that ground frame is our default frame of reference. If nothing is stated about the velocity, it automatically means velocity in ground frame. Similarly and accordingly, even in this expression, if O was our ground frame of reference, then we don't have to mention O. We can simply write VBO as VB and VAO as VA, and we can get relative velocity VBA as VB minus VA. So that shortens our writing here. We don't have to write an extra letter because ground frame is our default frame of reference.